Let's turn to another pastime, another thing that people find interesting to do of a weekend. MPs insisting that the Grand National must continue despite the death of two horses in last weekend's race. Now, 10 of them have signed a Commons motion arguing that the most popular event in the racing calendar should continue and that the last decade has been the safest on record. Now, North Wiltshire MP James Gray is one of those who signed the bill, and he joins us now. Good afternoon, James.
Good afternoon.
Is the racing industry doing enough then, in your opinion, to keep this kind of, or particularly this race, the Grand National, safe?
Well, look, I think, first of all, the industry would perfectly well understand that people were very, very upset and very concerned about the deaths in the Grand National last weekend. It was terrible to see it, and horse people and racing people really hate seeing a horse down or jockey down and all that. But yes, I think in the last 10 years, the Grand National has become much safer than it was in the past. In days of yore, going back 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, there would be deaths all over the place, and all sorts of horses breaking legs and who knows what else. And they've already put in place a tremendous number of safeguards to make sure it can be as safe as it possibly can be. But of course, it is a premium sporting event, taking the sport to the ultimate limits. It's the biggest and most famous race in the world. And of course, unfortunately, there can be accidents from time to time, and you can't get away from that short of abolishing the sport altogether.
Why is it then that the public perception seems to be the opposite? There seems to be more of a clamour about it being an unsafe race at the moment. Is that the media proliferation or what? Well,
there's a bit of a clamour about it from certain groups of people. But you have to remember that 500 million people watch the Grand National. I mean, that's an enormous a sporting event, far bigger than virtually any other sporting event I can think of. 500 million people watch it, and most people enjoy it very much, and most people respect it for what it is, which is an Olympic-level type contest amongst both fantastically athletic horses and fantastic jockeys too. So most people love it for what it is, recognising there is some degree of risk involved in it. But of course, there are always people in this world who would say, we want everything to be 100% safe. We don't want a single death of any animal. We don't want a single injury. We want everything to be 100% pristine. And I think if they did that, well, racing would certainly be finished. So would most worthwhile sports, because all sports involve some degree of risk.
Yeah, if you remove the risk, then you'd ruin the race, would you?
I think that's right. Yes, you remove the risk, and you just a few ponies trotting around a field entirely safe. And there'd be no competition.
Yeah, I mean, just to take to the extreme what you've said, if we were talking about the Olympics, which we're all looking forward to in July when they finally arrive, it's all going to be very exciting. We wouldn't say there, would we? This is the people that the pinnacle, the peak of their athletic ability, so if one or two of them die, that's acceptable. I mean, is it ever acceptable, really, for a horse to lose its life for our entertainment?
Well, of course, the Olympics, the equestrian events of the Olympics, sadly, equestrianism, there often are, or can be, injuries or deaths of horses or riders alike, and one or two other similar extreme sports, not the Olympics but elsewhere. Nothing in this world is totally safe. Nothing can be perfect. Nothing can be absolutely perfect. And I think we just have to accept some degree of risk, but minimise it. And the fantastic work's been done over recent years by the racing industry to minimise the risk, to make the jumps as safe as they possibly can be, and there's certain changes in design and height and all the rest of it. There's been a limitation on the numbers of horses entering, and still perhaps some people say too many, but it's been limited already. And all sorts of other things brought in. For example, the use of the whip has been changed in recent years. It's been quite controversial the last year or two. The use of the whip's been changed. All kinds of things have been changed in racing to make it more humane, if you like, and to understand people's concerns about injuries and death of horses. But as I say, ultimately, it is an absolutely extreme sport. You're right at the edge of asking these magnificent animals to do what they can, and inevitably sometimes they will crash into each other, or they will trip over as they go over a jump, and when they trip over they hit the ground. They're going at an enormously fast pace, and unfortunately if an animal moving at a very, very fast pace falls over, it can indeed injure itself, of course. And a horse, you break a horse's leg, you can't do much about it because you can't really mend a horse's leg. It's very difficult to do. And unfortunately, sadly, that results often in their death.
Yes, we know, James. Thank you. Thank you very much. James Gray joining us on the programme this afternoon, the MP for North Wiltshire.